Hey, what's up, guys? Senor Weeks está aquí. Senor Weeks here, what's up? It's been a while, I know. Life has been life, and I'm pretty sure. Well, I hope that you all can forgive me for my absence in a bit, but life has been life, and I've been tackling a couple different things, yeah? But I'm making this video for the students that are preparing to do the CSEC Spanish Paper 2 exams come Monday, the 22nd of May, 2023. And a question that has been floating around, I've been getting in my messages and stuff. So how do I prepare for the CSEC Paper 2? CSEC Spanish Paper 2 exam come Monday. Now, we have been preparing since January. We have been doing free YouTube live sessions every Saturday, and we have been preparing, right? So first and foremost, there's no need to be anxious, yeah? But I'm going to make this recap for you in any event. Situation responses, which is the first part of the paper 2. What CXC is testing to do here is testing to see if you can communicate in Spanish within specific situations, right? So the key to being able to approach this section is knowing your language functions. What are the language functions, you may ask? CSEC may give you a situation that sounds something like this. Your best friend had a death in their family, and you send them a text message expressing condolences. What does the text message say? Your response needs to be something along the lines of lo siento mucho, lamento mucho por tu pérdida, acepte mis condolencias, mi más profundo pésame. So many different ways of communicating the same thing, which is expressing sympathy, saying sorry, expressing sympathy for somebody's loss. So learn off the different language functions, and that will be the key for preparing for the situation aspect of your exam. The second section is the letter writing. Now the key to the letter writing is reading the instructions and figuring out what specific topic am I speaking on here. In other words, what is the reason for writing the letter? And secondly, and very important, just as important, is what tense is being asked of me here. So by the wording of the letter, you will get a hint as to what tense or tenses need to be used. Many times what I have noticed is that almost the entire letter has one tense, then the last point that you need to include or write about, it switches a tense. So for example, you may get a letter that says, you had a wonderful student immersion trip to a Spanish-speaking country. Write a letter to your best friend telling them about your experience. You must include why you were chosen to go on that field trip, what you did while you was there, describe an unforgettable experience you had, and what you would do in the future as a result of this trip. So if, let's say we have a letter like that, by looking at that you notice certain things. It's a letter about a trip that you attended in the past. So in other words, it's the past tense you are writing in Spanish. And because it's a past completed action, we know that specifically you are writing about the preterite tense. The only exception will be if you are describing something about the place or where you visited the year before. Once you're giving a description of something in the past, imperfect tense and a preterite tense is used. And then in the final point, where we spoke about what you would do in the future or where you would go in the future as a result of this trip, that key of that word would tells you need to write about that point in the conditional tense. So how do you prepare for the letter writing? Look at some previous exam papers, look at the letter and try and figure out those things. First and foremost, try and figure out what is the general theme. Am I writing about travel experience, about a natural disaster, about a vehicular accident? Figure out what is the specific topic, and then look for the keywords in the passage to try and figure out this is the tense that needs to be written. And of course, practice writing the letters after. Third part of your exam is, what do you call it again? The contextual dialogue, sorry. The key to the contextual dialogue, as always, is sticking to the rules of what they tell you to do. You need to include XYZ things, but very importantly, and what helps a lot in the contextual dialogue, is looking at the line before and looking at the line after, so that you are guided to know the line before tells you what you should start off saying in your blank space, and the line that comes after also tells you or informs what you need to end off saying in that blank space to cue what comes after. So this would help a lot, one. And two, remember it is a dialogue, so it should sound more conversational. Make extensive use of your idioms here. Make use of your conversational phrases or fillers, entonces, pues, ay Dios, mi Dios, etc. Use those sort of things to give it a conversational sense, a conversational tone to what you're writing there. And finally, we have the reading comprehension passage, which is where I always say is where students can get the most amount of marks. The reading comprehension passage, for want of a better word or explanation, really and truly is a translation. The answers that you're given, you basically taking whatever you would have written in the passage in Spanish and expressing it back to the examining body in your answers in English. All the questions are like that, except for the final question, which is what we call an evaluative or an appreciative question. A lot of big words. All that simply means is you need to show the examiner that after having read this entire reading comprehension passage and answered all the questions before, I understand and I appreciate what has taken place there. I remember there was one past paper, I can't remember the year right now, but it was basically a woman telling about her travel experience. She traveled with a friend, and the friend was really afraid of flying, and it ended up where the friend held on to her hand so tightly during the flight that she damaged her hand later, and she vowed, I will never fly with this person again. Now, the final question was asking something along the lines of, why did she make that statement that she would never fly again or something? Now, you're not only expressing the fact that she say she will never fly again, but you need to also express the fact that you appreciate, you have evaluated what took place and you understood. So in other words, you would use words to answer that says something along the line as she learned her lesson and she answered like that so that she wouldn't end up in a negative situation like that again with the friend. Right? So you need to pay attention to that final question. And you may not know every single word in the reading comprehension passage, however, use your context cues. You may not know every word, but try and figure out the general idea of what is happening, and based on that, you give your response, etc. Very key thing for the reading comprehension passage, the mark scheme that you see at the end is not an indication of how much you need to write. Instead, it is an indication of how many pieces of information needs to be included in your response. So I hope this video was beneficial to everybody that is seeing this. If it was beneficial, follow on whichever social media channel you're seeing this. Share with a friend, with a teacher, with a classmate, with somebody else that you're doing the Spanish exam. And buena suerte en tus exámenes. Nos vemos, nos hablamos más pronto. We will speak about how it went. Dime algo después, pero buena suerte y buen trabajo. Yeah? Good job already, because I know you all are going to do excellently. Take care, guys.